There's some extra seats over here. I promise I took a shower.
Calling the meeting to order. Welcome. We have a roll call.
Ms. Driver.
Here.
Dr. Genovese.
Here.
Dr. Lilliston.
Here.
Dr. Liu.
Here.
Mr. Peters.
Here.
Dr. Resnick.
Yep.
Mr. Sawicki.
Here.
Ms. Williams-Galliano.
Here.
Dr. Wilson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Excellent. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this provision of the Act, the Hopewell Valley Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof communicated to the Hopewell Valley News and the Times on January 3rd, 2023. This meeting notice has also been sent to Comcast Cable and Verizon Fios. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. The meeting is being recorded. Okay, confirming something. For the purpose of board review, future reference, preparation of the minutes, and viewing on YouTube Bulldog TV and the school district website, www.hvrsd.org. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us with our record keeping. Please join me in a flag salute. Need a first and a second to approve the minutes from our previous board meeting, May 15th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, so moved. I will withhold our report and turn it over. I'll hold it till later.
Just really quickly, I wanted to thank the Hopewell community for another great year. As I look back over all that we accomplished this year, I can't even believe that all the things happened this year that did. I was like, oh, that happened this year too. So I just wanted to, I'm so grateful to have a community that is in such support of the work that we do. I'm honored to have been here for your students. We graduated 268 of them on Thursday. It was a beautiful ceremony. I think it was one of the most beautiful ones we've had in a long time. And just to be there and just to see kids going off to multiple colleges, the military, walkabout while they're figuring it all out, and just the excitement of that day. In addition to all the several clap outs that we had at all different grade levels, I think we ended on a really high note. So I thank you all again for that. The climate survey is out. I have over 1,000 people that have filled it out. It is glitchy, so some folks have had problems filling it out on their cell phone, even though you're supposed to be able to. It doesn't work as well on your cell phone as it does if you're on a laptop. So if you're having trouble with that, I would recommend that for you. And I've also set it because folks were having a hard time filling it out multiple times, and I believe I corrected that as well. And so that will be open till the 30th. If there's any problem with the timeline, please reach out to me, and I'll extend that for anyone who needs it. But we really do want your feedback, and we appreciate those who have filled it out so far.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we're already going to have a public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for a maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You are asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at future meetings so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us in our record keeping.
I've already signed in. Can I start?
You may.
So Kate Ham, Pennington. I had not intended to speak tonight, but due to the uniqueness of the situation, I felt necessary. This evening, one community is mourning the loss of a great staff member, the captain of their ship, and their favorite pirate, while this community is about to welcome in a fantastic educator. So I just wanted to, I know, preemptively say, welcome to Hopewell J, and I wish him well here at Bear Tavern.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry for my late arrival.
No worries.
Good evening. I don't know if this happens just in our household.
Can you share your name?
Oh,
and
sure.
then please-
Sorry. My name is Allison Yakis. I live in Hopewell Township. Okay, sorry. I don't know if this happens just in our household, but I always see the majority of what our children have been doing all year long at the end of the school year when they bring home the contents of their lockers and dump them into a pile somewhere in the house. After reviewing some notebooks and other work, I'm concerned and now have some insight into why our academic scores are where they are. Without going into detail, the contents of my son's science notebook was not about science, but it was about many other non-science issues. As a concerned parent, I stand before you today to express my heartfelt worries about the direction our district is heading. While I wholeheartedly understand the purpose of learning about social justice and activism, and I 100% support equality for all, it is essential that we strike a balance and not allow these topics to overshadow the fundamental purpose of our educational system. In recent years, it seems that our district has lost its focus on academic excellence. You've even discussed the priority of our students' academic scores at some of the most recent Board of Ed meetings while explaining the rearrangement of our STEM programs. Our children's future is at stake, and it's our duty to ensure that they receive the best education possible. Again, I understand the importance of teaching our children about social justice issues, encouraging empathy, and promoting diversity. These are essential life skills that can shape them into responsible citizens. However, we must remember that education should equip our children with a broad set of skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, and a strong foundation in the core subjects. It is not a matter of dismissing other topics, but rather finding a healthy balance and maintaining high academic standards. We cannot sacrifice the education and future of our children on the altar of any single issue, no matter how noble it may be. Let us remember the purpose of education, to empower our children to succeed in their chosen paths, to equip them with knowledge and skills that they may need to navigate our ever-changing world, and to foster a love for learning that they will continue to serve them throughout their lives. By restoring our focus on high academic standards, we not only ensure their success, but also strengthen the fabric of our community. I urge the members of this board to reevaluate our educational priorities. Let us please work together and strike a balance and forge ahead with academic excellence. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment section.
Just quickly, Ms. Yakis, I would need to know more information about what specific grade level we're talking about and what in the curriculum that you were concerned about, because without that, I really can't comment further than Depending on the level, we teach science. We do talk about social justice issue like sacrifice zones. We talk about genetics and the way we teach genetics. But we do teach science in the way that the state expects us to roll out the standards. So I would need to know specifically what you're referring to really go into more detail, and I'd love to have that conversation with you. So we can set up the time to talk if you'd like.
Thank you, Dr. Trees. Okay, I would like to have a first and second to pass the items on consent.
Second?
I'll make a little comment. It looks like there's a lot of items on this meeting. It's just, traditional in June. This is what we call our business reorganization meeting, where we're at the end of our fiscal year and going to begin a new fiscal year. And by law, we reappoint our professionals and our depositories, and we establish a bid threshold and those types of items. I tried to give a little bit of a synopsis in the green notes this past week. If any of you have any questions, either tonight or later on about why we do certain things, feel free to ask. But there are a lot of items. There are routine, items that we do each year before you vote.
Given that, are there any questions given the anyone? Okay.
Okay, and like I said, if anybody ever has any questions, you can always reach out.
Excellent. So having a first and second, those all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Okay. Motion passes. Yeah. Stuck in the middle somewhere. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Just a note of under old business and any other items we'll check in with everyone. We just want to make sure that there is an awareness that we have a deadline for filing for nominations for school board. We have 4 open seats rolling into next year, 3 3-year terms and 1 1-year term. So that date that things must be turned in for July 31st at 4 p.m. And they do not get turned in here. They get turned into the county clerk. So just that is public service and part of old business. Does anyone have anything else on the old business? Under old business.
Bob, I was going to ask you if you can point out to the folks who are going to watch where they can pick up the form.
They can get them. They can get them on the Mercer County Board of Elections website, where they can pick it up. They can pick it up in my office. They just can't drop it off.
Okay, thanks.
I would love to pick them up for people, but it's the law. Yeah, they've gotta
It's the
take them.
law.
So, but they can come to my office during regular business hours, and or we can email it to get the package.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on then to personnel or
Okay.
committee.
Yeah,
Oh.
finance first.
Well, right. All the consent items.
Bob, I think
We'll
we
go
actually
ahead and
had one to approve, right?
We do.
Number
I think they're all
16. Possible you might be missing an asterisk, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll do it. Okay. Okay, so based on that, can I have a motion to approve the items up for, up for approval under finance agenda, please?
Motion. Second.
Okay, so Finance and Facilities Committee met last Monday. We had a very busy meeting. One, because we had so many items up for approval. Most were on consent, but I'll just highlight 2 there. One is our capital reserve deposit allowance. So at the end of the fiscal year, the board approves an amount not to exceed that we will move into our capital reserve. Once our audit is completed and we know the exact amount additional that we have to make that deposit with, the board will then go ahead and approve the exact amount, but that will be several months downstream. One other thing just to highlight, we are renewing our contract with Rick Bus for transportation. It's a 5.8% rate increase. I think that's about aligned with projections and inflation, but it's a fairly significant increase and contributed to the increase we needed for our budget this year.
So it's actually the maximum they could increase it.
There you go.
We were hoping that there might have been some play with some of the routes. But they're in a spot right now where they're experiencing more driver shortages than we are. We're actually fully staffed. Our drivers are. We don't have the substitutes that we used to have, but we're fully staffed. Unfortunately, where the school districts are staffing their drivers from are from the contractors. We happen to, by and large, the school districts pay more than the contractors are paying. So when positions open up here or in West Windsor or East Windsor, they're taking those jobs and leaving the contractors without. So we're happy that we're fully staffed, but they're not, and they're continuing to raise their prices. Hopefully it'll slow down. But we're actually I'm very happy that they did renew everything instead of forcing us to go out to bid, which could have been worse. So.
Okay. The two other main things we spoke about, first, Dennis Schmidt, the Director of Technology, came in. He gave the committee an update on some of our technology security protocols. Just one thing to note there, the district is transitioning its critical software over to multi-factor authentication. So that's something that's going to be progressing. Tom Quinn, the Facilities Director, gave us some updates on the projects in terms of some of the major ones we have going on this summer. The Hopewell Elementary Boiler and Chiller Project, a very big one, actually is supposed to have begun today. So that's a good thing. We know we've had some challenges with the chiller. That may wind up being a challenge in the fall as well. He noted that. Also, it looks like we are going to be in time to get our work done for the Hopewell bathroom and sewer line project done in time to be ready for the upcoming school year. So that's a good thing. And that's it. So on that, so we have one item then, I-16, which is a bid award renewal for waste disposal and recycling to Interstate Waste Services. So the committee is requesting an approval of that. So is that a?
Yeah, it's just a voice vote.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
I didn't get to say it yet, but this was a good news thing. It was a rate continuance from last year, so that's good for us.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Adam. Gonna go ahead and move on to personnel.
Okay. So we just met right before this meeting today at 6:15. We're going to need a roll call of all the things that are happening today.
Just checking out procedure.
Oh, okay. You will see on the agenda today that there were two notable retirements. One was Kathy Prassis, who is the Timberlane Middle School secretary. She's been with the district since 1995. That's 28 years. And then Janine Baxter, who is a Bear Tavern elementary teacher, who's been with the district since 2010. That's 13 years. You will also see several appointments of new hires, including the new principal for Bear Tavern Elementary School, Mr. J. Billy. Welcome. And you'll see some changes in salary to reflect credit attainment. There'll be some approval of the ESY, the Extended School Year Paraprofessionals, K-5 teacher leaders, transportation staff members, substitutes, and there's also approval of staff salaries for next year. There's some ECAs, the kindergarten camp teachers, fall coaches, volunteers, summer curriculum writing. Also, this is a big one. This agenda was pretty large. Also, you'll see employment contracts for non-rep administrators are for approval. The EAP agreement for next school year, that's the Employee Assistance Program. You will also see the ESY, or the Extended School Year Settlement Agreement. The other notable thing was about the Bear Tavern principal search. It was quite lengthy, I guess I want to say. There was lots of parts involved. There was a search committee that consisted of teachers, parents, administrators, and students. They interviewed 14 highly qualified candidates. It's also notable that we sent out some surveys to get some input from the community as well. And we have reached a candidate who will be approved today, hopefully, Mr. J. Billy. We're very excited to have him. And I think that's all, unless there's questions.
Mr. Billy's also here as well.
Super excited to have you. Questions?
So I have a comment and a question. Comment on the extracurricular appointments. Dana, I'll call your attention once again to Dan Williams. You corrected the previous typo, but I think there's still a typo there the other way. You want to
What are we talking about?
Dan Williams, high school volleyball varsity coach. He is towards the button. Yeah, he's in the C8. That should be I'm pretty sure that should be an 8-8. 05 and not 8005. Yeah, can you double check on that? I'm just looking and comparing it to everybody else who's at that step and level, so just double check on that because we've had a typo there. Okay, yeah. Okay. And then the question that I had is, are we going to see a report from the Bear Tavern Principal Search Committee, kind of like a summary of what was considered, or
Probably not,
We've done
other
it.
than
Usually
what's
we
in.
just see the person who has
usually we
been-
just do a
Yes.
recommendation? Okay, I'm
That's
asking
something you
because
would like
it's the
us to
first
add
time.
to the process?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
It's the first time from you, so I was hoping to kind of get a readout that said here is the list of candidates that were considered, and
No.
we can't do that. Okay, fair enough.
Is there some way that we can summarize or provide to the board the process?
Yeah, I mean, I can walk you through exactly what we did if you'd like, but I can't share candidates just.
That's fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we had about 30, I think it was 32 candidates apply for the position. Dr. Treese, Dr. Politzis, myself, and Mr. Turnbull actually reviewed all of the candidates who did apply. We came up with 14, and as I mentioned in a personnel committee, it was a very deep number of candidates this year, meaning that we had qualified sitting elementary principals, sitting middle school and high school principals who applied, and we also had vice principals from each level apply for the position. We narrowed it down to 2 full days, 14 interviews. There was a lot of discussion. We took into consideration the survey that was sent out and the responses. The committee, which was made up of staff, parents, and administrators, came up using that survey, also came up with, you know, what the staff was looking for, what administration was looking for, all of that input, and made sure that we kind of worked backwards. So we made sure that those characteristics and those traits were things that we found in, you know, the candidates. There's a rubric that's involved, so each candidate was evaluated based on how they, you know, we go through the same process. Everyone gets the same questions, the same time, that sort of thing. And then there was discussion at the end. It moved to the next round, which was with Dr. Treese and key staff. A presentation was required along with a writing prompt. So we do kind of go through the ringer a little bit of our candidates. And the third round was with student focus group. And so there was about 35, 40 minutes spent with students who had, as Dr. Treese shared, excellent questions. The Bear Tavern community should be very proud of their students. They took it very, very seriously. And through all of that, that came to the final decision.
And the composition of the committee was, I understand it was a number of parents, a number of staff members. Can you just say how many of?
Yeah, so there actually were five parents, 3 of which also did work for the school district, but also were parents. There were 2 parents who did not work for the school district, and then there were administrators on there as well. There were a total of 10 people. That's how we keep it to about 45, 50 minutes for an interview. Any more, then you get into a very long interview process, and we probably would have needed 3 days.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely.
Good question. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then I think we're ready for roll call. A motion and a second, and then roll call. Motion, second. Okay.
Dr. Genovese,
Yes.
Dr. Lewis,
Yes.
Dr. Lou,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Dr. Resnick,
Yes.
Dr. Wilson, Ms. Driver,
Yes.
Mr. Williams-Dellon.
Yes. Wonderful. Oh, yeah. Would you like to come to the mic and have a word?
Hi everyone, I'm Jay Billy, and I can't tell you how happy and proud I am to be here, and I'm thankful about the process. It was awesome. I have to tell you, I enjoyed it tremendously. It was so professional and so thorough, and I really, really did appreciate. I think I told Dr. Treese this. It's actually fun for me to have these discussions, real discussions about teaching and learning, and talk about data and things like that really excite me to come work here. So I thank you all for this opportunity. You'll see me a lot, and I look forward to making you proud, as well as keeping the amazing things that are going on at Bear Tavern going for a long time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Moving on to EdCom. Everything's on consent, right? All on consent.
Changes that need to take place because we weren't, the course weren't following
also do a service learning project. It's called WE. It is part of the AP programming for world language. And the students actually identified a family in our school in Central America based on family members, and we're able to supply the school with resources and raise some money to send the school. And the students petitioned for us to send our old Chromebooks to the school as well. I thought we could do better than that, and maybe do a campaign where we can probably buy some, get the money to buy new. And there was a discussion about, how that's not easy to do the purchase in another country. But, we're willing to work with them on that. But they did this by themselves. They identified a need. They connected to that family member who worked in the school or had connections to the school, and they raised quite a bit of money to send and support.
We also had a presentation by Ms. Barzilai asking to support a research project.
Yes, that was
Yes.
Yes. Yes, so Ms. Barzilai, she's a physics teacher at the high school. She came to the committee with a proposal to do some research and look at the data on placement into sixth grade math, because that affects math curriculum going forward, and how that's affected by the various factors, including gender, ethnic, racial background, etc., because she's seeing some things that are concerning to her, and she wanted to understand to what extent there was actually something going on. So she put together a research proposal. She put together a methodology that kind of made sense, looking at just at anonymized data on grades that the district has anyway, and she was kind of processing it and then presenting back to us, I guess, in a couple of months what she sees. So I think the committee thought that made a lot of sense, so we gave her approval to go ahead with the research proposal.
And this is data that we've noticed in the past, is that our girls are underrepresented in the advanced math and science classes. That, we've talked about the concern about sixth grade kind of cubby-holding kids and then not being able to move up the tracks.
Yep.
So it's all good data, and she's doing this on her own. She's decided
This summer,
what
yeah.
she wants to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's her
Yeah, and we
summer
also
research project.
Right, and we also saw some data that there is some difference in the rates of placement between the different elementary schools. So I think she's coming in at the right time to kind of take a look at that.
Great. Any questions? Can you sit?
I never know if this is actually on or not. Okay. So we had also the Lincoln presentation from Miss Lennon and the STEM facilitator from Tollgate, Miss Michko. Okay. And just the benefit, like we just I think adopted and started using it school-wide or district-wide this year, and then so they presented to us about the benefits of using the program or using the platform and warehousing all of our data, and and how beneficial that is to the staff in terms of collecting data and warehousing it all. I think that's it.
Thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on then to community relations. Sorry, I was trying to find how I was going down the line.
Where is
Where
community
is-
relations? Community relations had a great year. We finished off with Dr. Therese having her last superintendent coffee and chat around drug and alcohol abuse, and we had 25 parents attend, which is a pretty big group for us. So you can tell it's a concern of our community. We also had some great end of the year communications in the Hopewell Express, talking about graduation, talking about our amazing work around climate change and our students that went to Washington, D.C. We also had students win art awards that were a national award around climate change. So all in all, some really great work around community engagement. And that's all I have for community relations. And then let me just move into the SEL.
Yeah, just let me check in. Any questions? All good? Let's go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
SEL. I have to tell you, at our last meeting when we reviewed what the SEL committees had done, I was really blown away. I mean, it's a shame Paulette's not here, and I know it wasn't just Paulette, but they really had a year of amazing programs. So I'm gonna just highlight some because I'd like to reiterate it for the board. We did, both Dr. Therese and Paulette DiNardo did 6 sessions of training. Dr. Therese did our teachers in the Nurtured Heart, and then Paulette had 40 parents that were trained in the Nurtured Heart. And just to remind people, Nurtured Heart sort of goes hand in glove with our new SEL curriculum, which is our Character Strong, which we rolled out this year, which was amazing how the teachers really embraced that. And we had teacher leaders in each school that sort of helped shepherd that in. And so that was just an amazing rollout for our new SEL. We also had Parent University quarterly sessions with our Rutgers clinician and Dan DiStefano. Topics included anxiety, mental health, social media. We had our district-wide SEL days where both staff and students participated. We had parent grief groups that were facilitated by Deb Dumont. That was something that came up from our community. We had a lot of parents that experienced either the loss of a partner or the loss of a child, and so being able to help them through what is one of the most difficult periods in a person's life was really amazing. We also had ACT training, acceptance commitment therapy, for our child study team and district behaviorists. We graduated our 5th cohort of air therapy dogs to help support everyone. We also had FILS drills, which is a physical literacy and SEL, the week of April 24th across all 4 of our elementary schools, and then also into the 6th grade and with our special education classes. And then we, lastly, we increased our student groups across the district. So we've got groups around social skills, regulation, anxiety, self-esteem, girl empowerment, conflict resolution, depression, climate change. So really, as issues come up, excuse me, in our community, we're meeting them where they are. So SEL, which is a new committee, really did a lot of work this year. And I want to really thank the administration, the teachers, and the students, because it was sort of all hands on deck. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that update, Jackie. All right. Any questions, by the way? Sorry. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to policy.
Okay, so compared to last month, we've got a much lighter agenda, and I'm sure you're all disappointed we don't have anything up for first reading this month. But no, and there's a good reason for that. So over this summertime months, the administration is taking a very deliberate approach, looking at some of the very significant policies related to our code of conduct, things like our random screening, getting them set for next year. So the committee started reviewing the code of conduct policy. That was a recommendation from the administration to address first. We had Principals Riley, Gianfretti, as well as Mr. Turnbull coming to the middle school now, participating. I'll just highlight it to say that there's quite a bit of work that is going to be done to the policy. We had described to us a number of situations which our current policy and regulations don't handle all that well. I'll say students are getting very creative about circumventing rules, so we're having to address that. One other challenge is just the external environment. The legal environment related to marijuana has changed since the last time the policy was updated. So we started, we went through a number of parts of the policy. The administrators very quickly realized we had quite a bit of work to be done, so the principals requested that they take it back, continue to work on it, and bring it back to the committee for next month. So that's why we don't have anything up for this month. But we do have 3 up for second reading, so I request a motion to move the policies and regulation up for second reading, please.
Second.
Great. What we have is policy and regulation 2520 for instructional supplies, as well as policy 9140 citizens advisory committees. We discussed these last month. There have not been any changes to those, so the committee is recommending they be approved and officially be made change. And that'd be a roll call. Right, Bob?
Can I just ask a question first before we do that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can you just remind me on the 9140 policy? I'm looking at the bottom of it, and we made the determination to say it need not be open to the public.
Oh, that was intentional.
Okay. Can you just talk
So,
about that? Thank you.
these are various committees that, from time to time, may be initiated by the board and the superintendent. The issue there, Mark, is that in some instances we're often discussing potentially contentious topics, and what we found in the past is that in such situations, it's often beneficial to have a closed meeting structure, just because that way people can feel free to speak freely, really brainstorm ideas that might not be necessarily be popular, but it's good to have the discussion. So based upon that, that's part of the reason for that recommendation. It's, if anything, it's one of the reasons that we have our committee meetings as closed meetings without quorum, just so that board members do have the freedom and flexibility to brainstorm ideas freely, right? That's really part of the rationale. It has nothing to do with, not sharing information with the public. It's really at some point, if something comes from one of these committees, it will have to be presented in open.
Sure. Okay.
In open forum. No, great question.
That's a very good question. So, yeah. I think everybody has their questions. Go
Okay.
ahead with roll call.
Dr. Liu. Mr. Peters.
Am I saying a yes or no here? Is that what I'm doing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Dr. Resnick.
Yep.
Mr. Sawicki.
Yes.
Dr. Wilson. Ms. Driver.
Yes.
Dr. Genovese.
Yes.
Dr. Lilliston.
Yes.
Ms. Williams-Galliano.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Could I just say one more word before we move out of policy? We had a former student by the name of Lucas Wittenberg who sent us a very detailed paper about his feelings on our drug and alcohol policy. If you remember, I shared with the committee. I just wanted to thank you, Lucas, for your work. I see you're here today. Know that the committee did read your paper, and also the 2 principals that also came to us saying that the way that our policy is so punitive is not the way that we want to go. And so that's what we're looking at. So your work was very valuable. I know that you just shared a new study with me that's just out. So I wanted to thank you for coming tonight. And also, you should have seen this dissertation he presented to us on this, on your own time, that you're passionate about this. When you no longer even attend the district, but you're that passionate that you wanted to reach out. So I wanted to thank you for that.
Is this something that can be shared for the whole board?
Absolutely, you can. And actually, it's attached to the notes, but I can share with all.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and, excuse me, move on to approving calendars
So can I get a first?
So, I had a request at some point
Related to calendars?
related maybe to new business. I don't know when you wanna
Oh, we'll get
Okay.
to.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when to slide it in there.
Yeah. I kind of went out of order here.
Okay.
Intentionally, so. First and second on approving board calendars.
Second.
Okay.
June 10th, finance?
July.
July
Yeah,
10th.
I was gonna say
Finance.
July.
Yeah.
Retroactive.
June 10th, probably.
What time are we thinking?
5 work?
Let's do it.
Yeah, 5 works.
Personnel's obviously the 17th, the night of the meeting at 6:15. Policy.
So what days would you all like? We are technically closed on Fridays, but I'm here on the 11th. But if the next one we have, if we want the principals to be there for that one, if we're going to do the drug and alcohol, I would say we don't want to do a Thursday. The 10th is already booked. So do we want to look at the following week, or do you want to still look in that week?
Well, the meeting's the 17th. So there's no, there's no date the week of the 10th. I mean, so we're trying the 5th or the 6th?
That works for me.
Still, Bill.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the only
Which
question.
day?
July 6th, I think they're looking
But
at.
I thought the education is already on the 6th. No, education committee is on the 10th.
That's
The 10th at 6.
Yes. So the 6th is good.
Would you do it, do you want it in the morning?
I think it doesn't matter. It looks like everyone's here.
Yeah, sorry, July 10th, 6 doesn't work for me. Can we do 5? No, they're having another meeting. Would Tuesday work? 11th? 5?
That works for me. I don't see that either of them are
At
off.
what time?
At 5?
5?
Is this EdCom or is this
Is education.
policy?
EdCom is request to change July 10th to the 11th. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
So we still need policy. So we're going back to the
6th.
the 6th. What time do you all want it on the 6th? I don't see anything in their calendar.
I can do 8 or 9, whatever.
Anytime's fine with me.
Does that work for you?
Anytime on the 6th is fine.
Okay. So can we say 9 o'clock?
Sure.
So we covered everything? No.
SEL.
Yeah.
Now, I have on the calendar here that SEL is already scheduled for the 13th at 10 a.m. The July 13th. And then you just need community relations.
What do we think? But right before policy? I mean, where are you talking about? SEL? We can do that. That's a good place for it. So, 9 o'clock.
Practice. That means that Alex is on timekeeping. Okay.
We're usually pretty good on community relations.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining or opposing? Excellent. Before we do, go back to, okay. So we're gonna, before we do new business, Alex, we're going to do public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the board on any matter for the maximum of 3 minutes during this portion of the meeting. You're asked to state your name, address, and municipality. In response to your comments, the Board of Education may respond or direct the superintendent to do so. The board may also opt to take the matter up at a future meeting so that the matter is researched by the district administration. Members of the public who intend to participate in public comment, we ask that you sign in prior to speaking. This will assist us with our record keeping. Public comments now open.
Hi, good
Hello.
evening, everyone. I heard a couple of times.
Name and
Christine Rule, Hopewell Township. You guys talked about the chat that Dr. Treese had a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was really helpful. So I thank you for having that. I have a son who is in 8th grade and is moving into the high school, so I haven't experienced any of this firsthand. But I feel like it's important for parents to be aware of the problems that are occurring at the high school. From what I gathered from the meeting, the main problem seems to be marijuana vaping. So nothing like super serious, but it still should be taken very seriously. So I'm glad we're getting ahead of it. And I learned a lot. Like, some of the things I learned are that students are vaping on school buses, in the bathrooms, and I heard that they're doing it even in class. I didn't know that you could order drugs online and have them shipped right to your house, so that's like something for parents to be aware of. And the gummies that are available, they look like candy. And then I heard that there are vaping lanyards where they can just put the vape and put it into their hoodie, so they could just do it whenever. There's just all kinds of new ways for kids to get their hands on illegal drugs that were not available when I was growing up. So then you kind of alluded to this, where students are carrying around urine with them in case they're randomly drug tested. I didn't even know that we did random drug testing, but now I do know. And the marketing that's going straight to kids, that it's just, everything seems crazy. And if all of that wasn't bad enough, Murphy passed legislation a couple of years ago that makes it illegal, well, if this is my understanding, for police to search people under 21 of age or charge them with possession. So that makes the job even harder. It makes it very easy for drugs to be accessible to kids, and there are very little consequences if they get caught. Dr. Treese mentioned at the meeting that the board is working on a new policy, and is there a parent committee that can help give input? And if not, can one be created? I would love it if we could work together to find a better path forward for our kids and help empower them to make better choices. If a parent committee was formed, I would be happy to be a part of it. And thank you for your time tonight.
Anyone else?
Hi, Allison Yakis again, from Hopewell Township. I have a concern. I didn't prepare anything for this, but I'm just wondering what the district is doing to get ahead of the students using AI and like Chat GPT and the new technologies to prepare their schoolwork. I have firsthand experience, and actually, if I could be honest with you, to make light of things, I had my son help me write my prior talk using Chat GPT, just so I could see what it's like, and it's incredible. So anyway, he's used it, and I know from many other parents that it's used by many students, and I'm just wondering what the district is doing to teach our kids how to use it ethically, and also to monitor what they're doing independently with their own writing versus what is being generated in a matter of literally seconds for them to not have to do the actual critical thinking and creative writing. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm just wondering what the district is doing to get ahead of this use of AI technology that's coming up. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment number 2, and I will definitely turn it over to Dr. Therese to comment.
And I'm going to ask Ms. Smith to also help with the chat GPT, because we have been working on it, and the technology committee actually is coming up with a district policy around that. But as a former English teacher, if you are writing through the writing process with your students, they usually can't turn in work that you know is not theirs, because I should intimately know your writing, right? But we know that this is here to stay. We know it is incredible. We've actually played with it, and you can spit out a report just like that. So, this is something that we're working on. So you want to talk about that first, and I'll talk to Ms. Rule about her question.
So thank you for bringing it up. It is a very topical conversation, something that we have been discussing at our tech steering committees for months now. As Dr. Tree said, we are working on a district policy on that. And for several months at different faculty meetings, department meetings, in small conversations at our tech committees, we've been talking about, as is the case with any new thing coming out, there are pros and cons. And so how do we effectively use it to benefit, but also not take advantage of it? We do know that this falls under what we're really seeing it as part of academic integrity under that. There are going to be classes where using AI is effective, and it's something that we want to teach our students how to use the correct way. And that might look very different between a social studies class and a math class, or an English class and a science class. And so those requirements are going to look very different based on what the teacher needs the child to show and to be able to produce. So I think a lot of the things that are going into place now are making sure that the students are able to do that authentic work, maybe in the classroom. There are a lot of software products out there that we have to kind of run it through to make sure, is this AI, is this not? Not that everything's 100%, but really going through that process. We use certain software now so that teachers in the classroom can see what children are doing on their Chromebooks, so they know if they've gone out to the web or if they're doing it authentically, and they can see history. So that's another piece, that when they're submitting things, making sure that that is being documented in the way the teacher is. So there's a lot of pieces. It's still evolving, but we have a lot of our technology people who are involved, making sure that they're teaching the staff that this is something that the staff is going to be turnkey to the students, and making sure those requirements are set at the start of the school year.
And Ms. Rule, I wanted to thank you for attending my coffee and chat. You and your husband's comments were just really lent to the conversation. And yes, I would love to have a group of parents to really dig in and how we can create forums that, one, we can get more people to attend, and also to look at the education of this. Heidi Kami is going to be working closely with me to start working on finding a curriculum. If we have to develop it ourselves or bring someone in to start talking to our kids younger and younger, because they really are targeting our little ones with this. And how do we get this out into the community so that parents are having these conversations a lot younger? So I would love that. So thank you. I'll be reaching out.
Wonderful, thank you. I just want to underscore those last two comments are really, they circulated in conversation throughout this last few months. And so I'm very pleased that we are as ahead of the ball as we can be. And I also feel like it's important to note that as we look at research, this is one of those big, I'll say big vision items that I think we do well to underscore as a district, is that the better we are, the more data and that we need to use, and the more refined research we need to do to understand what's going to make a difference for our kids. And I am very proud and very pleased that we continue to have, we don't say, well, let's look at the numbers very casually. We have a lot of researchers on our board who are asking those questions and deeply and challenging the administration to not just get more data, because more is not better. Is it effective at telling us or answering the questions that we need answered? Because we are doing great things, we have educational excellence, and we know there's always opportunity. Not to mention, we've got these deep challenges coming at us where technology is evolving at a pace that is making corporate budgets spend forget a school district. So I just want to make sure that I, as president of the board, speak to the commitment that the board has, as well as the administration, and making sure we're not just casually glossing over these things, really trying to dig deep and make sure we're balanced about our approach with the kids. It's not a don't do it. It's a how do you use it with ethics? How do you use it effectively? How do you still have critical thinking while using these tools? So underscore. And by the way, we have issues with drugs and other access to other things that our children shouldn't have, and making sure we support those who are really at this point addicted, because it's so accessible and so easy to kind of vape through the day. So just thank you thank you for the administration, and thank you to the community for continuing to make sure we address these issues.
Anita, I just, to your point, and I know we're looking at this, but technology, especially for students with disabilities, can really be a game changer. So as much as we want to make sure that our students are being ethical about the IA, it also can really help struggling writers, because you have to be able to put the information in there a lot of times too. So really looking at both sides of this new technology to get our students where they need to be.
Yeah, and I have a question. Before we release the district-wide policy for using AI, is there a plan to solicit feedback, probably beyond the board? Because I understand we have a lot of parents and stakeholders in this district who may have already done work in that area. I know they may be working for other schools, companies, organizations. So maybe there are advanced experience that we can borrow, tools that we can learn from, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, or at least get some insights. And I fully agree with what Anita just said. More data is not necessarily good. It's really about the insights, how we turn data into insights. So if we can start thinking about a plan as part of the development of the AI use strategy, to think about in a longer term, what kind of data, what kind of analysis plan, what kind of questions we want to ask, and who we want to involve in that process. I feel like that can put us in a really beneficial position for us to generate insights for the growth of our students and identify issues that we need to address.
Great. Yeah, those are really great points, because given the pace of technology change, we want to be on the cutting edge of the of the policy that matches that pace, right? So we're not trailing. So thank you for that, and thank you, Jackie, for. Okay. I think that is closes out our policy, and we're just going to move on to, I think, our last item as new business.
So, this was actually a question, but in January, we approved and advised Advisory Committee on Climate Action and Sustainability. We staffed it. And it occurred to me, I have not seen any readouts to the board, so I was going to request, not today, because you would literally be getting 1 minute at them. Starting with next board meeting, if that could be on the regular agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping to have something by then, because
Okay.
there have been lots of meetings and lots of deliberations, lots of discussion. But yes, we're hoping that they have that final draft soon enough so that we can do that.
Right, but just because there have been meetings, right, it just occurred to me that I think we should have this, whether or not the report is already on the regular agenda to the board. That's all.
Good cover. Thank you.
I have another comment, if you don't mind.
What Alex doesn't realize, you and I had a conversation, he didn't realize that he made more work for himself.
Just joking.
You'd be able to be careful on that,
Yeah.
on that comment, Mark. Maybe you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not talking now.
Yeah, step wisely, Mark.
So I just wanted to bring up publicly, I think since my appointment in January, one of the topics of dialogue that I did not expect to be as strong as it has been within our community still revolves around the sexual education topic. I'll be very frank, amongst all of our constituents, whether it be in the township, the Pennington Borough, or Hopewell Borough, I've heard from dozens upon dozens of unique individual parents about this. So coming off of this Citizen Advisory Committee policy that we just passed, I would like to implore the administration for us to try to put this back into the forefront and talk about it and get the citizens involved. I understand that this was an exhaustive effort last year and want to be very respectful to where we've gotten to that, but I think we all have a duty and obligation to try to listen to what the parents are saying, and there's way more than I even expected talking about this still. So whether it be misinformation, lack of information, lack of context, which I think, by the way, all plays into this, I would like us to start thinking about how we can get this topic back to the front of mind, because I do believe that with all the things that I just mentioned there, it will be good for the public to hear what they maybe don't know, and also good for the public to have a little bit more of a voice here. So, thank you.
I'll make a follow-up comment on that, or a suggestion. Having been present for the discussions of the board and also public comment, one idea which might be interesting as you were thinking about your talks is to get some information out there about what these new state policies are, what they mandate, and what they put as optional, right? What we did as a result of them coming out, and maybe even compare what our curriculum was before, which is only 2 years ago, right? Or pre-COVID. I would go pre-COVID, right? And how far it, or how much, or which areas it has changed after those, right? Because I think there is a lot in those policies. What I've come to learn here is that a lot of things are optional, right? And so what the state has put out there and what the coverage has been may not always correspond to what the change that we had to adopt actually was, right? And so I think having that information and presenting it to the community might be a very good first step. And then we should go to a Citizens Advisory Committee if there's still a continuing need in the community to do that.
I will do, and so will Dr. Click, do anything that the board requests. We have taken all of those steps. We had several webinars where they did exactly that. The curricula are posted, the parents selected the lessons, and then those were posted. We've done all of that. We can do all of those things again. And parents can opt out of sex ed. They can opt out of all health if they want. And we've had some people that have availed themselves of that as well. So we can certainly do that as much as you might need, but we have gone through all those steps, so we can do it again.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that, and I think that again, you guys have been shared a lot about the exhaustive efforts you've done last year, and I think if the public commentary that I've heard is any small, minute piece of all of this. This might be something that we want to do on the regular. It might be a topic that we want to consider adding into a normal rotation of dialogue and discussion.
And we do have the meetings around sex ed and those specific lessons.
Yep.
Every year there's information night about that. The curriculum has not changed vastly. We didn't adopt much of what the
I think
state
that's what Alex
asked
is
for.
trying to
Right.
make it.
Okay.
I think that was the
Yeah,
helpful.
so, but yeah, we can do that, but as many times as we need to. But again, we haven't really changed our curriculum that much.
Mhm.
Oh, we really haven't.
So I hear what you're saying. I want to be careful that the tail's not wagging the dog. And I also, I appreciate that we can do this as many times, but, we also, after a certain amount of time, we're wasting our administration's time and we're wasting our teachers' time. And I think we have all these other issues too. So it's prioritizing. Part of me is, respectfully disagreeing with you.
That's okay.
I think it is a small, loud minority in the district. And yes, I believe everyone should have a voice. And so we should meet them and do these things. But then once we've done them, to keep doing them over and over again, to what end? I'd like to know what we need to do that might be different to help better communicate, because doing the same things over and over again, I don't think is going to help solve the problem. So I would say dig deeper.
Sure, I think fair. Everything you're saying is fair. I think if I think about the number of unique voices, even though they may be the loudest, let's assume that you're correct for a reason, they still have a representation amongst who is sitting in this room. And our obligation is to everyone, even if they are a vocal minority that may be the loudest. So I think about that in terms of every topic, whether or not my opinion is there or not on the topic. So for this one, I think about it similar to that of the budget, that of other policies that we do on a year-over-year basis. We're talking about a very sensitive topic for most families. We're talking about a sensitive topic that clearly, candidly, folks that I would never have expected to approach me have approached me on this. That even if it is the vocal minority that is the loudest, we still should maybe think about, even if it's just the redundancy of the messaging at a coffee with the superintendent, that might be enough. And then secondarily, the amount of students that come in and out of the district, new families that come in and out of the district, we should probably just think about holistically the redundancy and the repetition around some of those things. I don't necessarily think that I'm even enacting the dialogue to say we need to change something. I think that when I hear people with concern, it's probably in one of three buckets. They don't know what they don't know, right? Which is very real. There's some sort of misinformation that might be out there that's being misguided to them, or they may have a point. And to me, all three of those buckets, at least for me, I want to say, let's try to be proactive with it while being respectful of your time.
I think some of this can be easily addressed, right? By making committees, because part of it is folks say they want these talks, they don't come to the talks, we continue to not have the information.
Agreed.
So one of the things that we've been talking about doing as an administrative team is to just take these things, period, make a
Great
video,
idea.
put it out, and so people can access it throughout whenever they need it.
Share it.
And then they can reach out if they have questions, because that's part of the problem. We
Yep.
schedule a night, folks are busy, they don't make it, and then the rumors keep going or the disinformation keeps going. So
Yep.
there's ways around this. There's ways to do both these things and making sure people have what they need.
And making sure it's really visible, I think, on the site. And to your
Yeah.
point,
Good idea.
to know, what you talked about, where, so I'm a new person in the
Where am I
district.
finding this
Where do I go? We've already put the curriculum online, so where do I wouldn't know where to go. And sometimes the website's hard. And having a video
So-
that says all that would be great.
I hear what you're saying, Mark. I'm not disagreeing with any of it, and I'm on board with what you said as well, Jackie. But I guess my question is, what's the goal? Is it just to continuously have a conversation, or is it to continuously hear? Because everyone has a voice, and we're here to hear their voice. I guess, but what is the goal of continuously having the same conversations? I hear what you're asking for, but why? What do you hope to achieve?
Do you want me to answer that, or is that a hypothetical?
No, I'm
Okay,
serious. No,
okay.
I'm being serious, and maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe I don't know, but I mean, I hear both sides of everything. But
What would
do
be
we
the
hope to
objective?
accomplish? What do we hope to accomplish?
I think everything you just said would be what I think we could accomplish, right? Redundancy in messaging, repetition of why we made the decisions we made, and from a progress perspective, maybe 1 year we think about it differently. So I would say all three of what you just said would probably be the bushel basket of the goals that I would say could be.
So generally what we teach in sex ed is the same things we learned as students, how our body works and what changes we can expect to come. When they get to the middle school, they start talking about contraceptives. They start talking about how to protect yourself, and, from pregnancy, from disease, all that. Parents are all made aware of all of these discussions and can opt out. The high school, a little bit more information about sexuality and how to protect yourself in those situations. They also talk about relational aggression. Again, that conversation is a little deeper into sexuality. Parents also find out about that ahead of time and can opt out. None of these conversations have vastly changed from the ones that we sat in as students. We don't talk about specific sex acts. We don't talk about how you get a sex change. We don't show pornography. None of that is true. So that is basically the sexual education program. Really hasn't vastly changed from when we were kids. We're very conservative in how we approach it, but you do need to know how not to get pregnant. You do need to know how to not get an STD. You do need to know how not, to get in situations with the person you're in a relationship with that are bad and not get help. So those are the sort of talks we have.
So I'll give you my perspective, right? I think you just had a session around the issues that we're continually facing with drugs in school. I bet that's not the first time that we've had that kind of session, and not the last time. So my perspective on this is you have an opportunity to speak to the community on behalf of the district about 9 times a year, because they're monthly, but we're not going to do them over the summer, right? So that's 9 topics to address. And to me, it's natural to pick topics that are hot button topics. Sometimes because something's going on in the district, but very often they become hot button because what's going on outside of the district. And that gets people wound up and excited on both sides of the issue, right? This is a topic that is perhaps that is a hot button topic more because of what's going on outside of the district than what we've done, but that's not a reason to not have a repetition for as long as it's on that list of 9, right? And that's enough of a reason to repeat it every single year, just like I'm sure we'll be having a conversation about drugs and alcohol and vaping in the schools every single year, unfortunately, for a foreseeable time. So I don't see a problem with a repetition per se for that reason.
Anyway, right? So every year these information nights happen anyway. So it's not a problem to do it. It's certainly not me disagreeing that we can't make this information available. We do it anyway. Always happens. Well, we need to put something permanent so people can access it later.
I like that
That
idea.
one night, people don't come.
I was just going to say, I think the
Yeah.
issue is that attendance
Right.
oftentimes is
Yeah, it's hard.
hard, yeah.
So we just need to, we have the technology to make something,
Great.
interesting. So,
YouTube channel. YouTube channel.
yeah, we have YouTube.
We have a
We
YouTube
also have a way to put it out there and leave it up there. So,
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for a very healthy discussion. I appreciate that. Okay, we are going to, seeing no other new business, we're going to go ahead and get a first and second to move into executive session. Oh, or I need to, let's see. Okay. So, can I read the whole thing? Okay, we're going into executive session to discuss harassment, intimidation, and bullying matters, also to do superintendent's evaluation, and some personnel matters, also a separate student matter. So, action will be taken. And first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, excellent. Thank you again. Welcome, I'm sorry, Dr. Jay.